Data from News24's Out of Order index has found that service delivery problems are likely to deepen. 43 municipalities in 5 provinces, over and above those already red flagged by government, are in danger of collapse. Well, let's unpack what some of those numbers look like. We're joined by News24 Editor-in-Chief Adriaan Basson. Adriaan, good evening to you, and thank you for your time. So firstly, let's talk about how you are collating this index. What are the metrics, the data that you're working with to form essentially this information that you're putting out there to South Africans?
Thank you very much, Kathy. Yes, we realized that, with the local government elections coming in less than 2 weeks, that there's not really a tangible, factual place where South Africans can go to check how their municipalities perform. The political parties are telling us what they want us to hear, and we decided to partner with some very smart data analysts, researchers, data visualizators, and also some developers to build this tool or this index that we called Out of Order, looking at the 200 plus local municipalities as well as the metros, and using data from National Treasury, the Auditor General, and Statistics South Africa to build a machine, a tool that really shows us what municipalities are close to collapse, which ones are performing well, and then also give residents the opportunity and the ability to change some levers on a gauge to see how they can improve the services in their municipality. And that is what then informed us and led us to see that actually there's much more than the 85 municipalities in distress, according to COCTA, that it's much closer to 120.
Let's talk about some of the markers that you are using as a criteria to define where a municipality is doing well or where it's not doing well.
Absolutely. So, Kathy, we obviously looked at the Auditor General's audited statements for the past financial years. So the Auditor General, as you know, looks at the financial affairs of each and every municipality and decides if they are qualified, unqualified, or not even in a state to give an opinion. Then we also look at salaries. We look at what percentage of a municipality's budget they spend on salaries. And there's some municipalities that spend almost close to 100% of the entire budget on salaries. We also look at infrastructure, so not only infrastructure spent, but also maintenance. And it was quite shocking to me to see that there were only 4 municipalities in the entire country that spent more than 8% of their budgets on maintaining infrastructure. City of Cape Town being the only metro to do that. One other thing we're looking at is the ethics of councillors, whether councillors has been involved in any irregularities, and also in their debt levels, whether municipalities has debt with Eskom or other lenders, and then plot that into the tool.
You've spoken about the fact that part of the tools that you'll be looking at will, of course, be the information from the different state entities. And you touched on that list of distressed and dysfunctional municipalities that, of course, COCTA started. I think it was 2018 that we last saw any concrete list of those distressed or dysfunctional municipalities. Since then, it looks somewhat to have been abandoned. So when you talk about municipalities that are on the brink of collapse but have not yet been declared as such, what are you basing that on? Because, of course, the Auditor General, when we look at the reports, will provide a very clear picture of what is happening in the country. And those municipalities you'll find in those reports, at least some of them, have been consistently red flagged.
Yes, indeed. I think, Kathy, all of us in the media have been touring the country for the past few weeks, going to places like Matsikoma that you've just featured in your previous segment. And I think what a collapsed municipality looks like is what we and our journalists find on the ground. It is sewage in the streets. It is water plants not working. It is potholes, not even potholes, but non-existence of roads in certain municipalities. So the lived experience of millions of South Africans is what really tells us and shows us what a collapsed municipality looks like. If you look at the Auditor General reports and Treasury, you see the numbers, you see the paper, you see the figures, but that really translates into broken service delivery. If a municipality doesn't spend any money on maintaining infrastructure, but spend most of their budget on salaries, you know what's going to happen. There's not going to be upgrades of electricity or water plants or sewage systems or roads. And I think that is important. And that is the tool that we wanted to give South Africans. It's an open tool. It's called outoforder.news24.com. And people can go there, check what your municipality is doing, see how they rate on our gauge. Out of 100, we've scored each and every municipality in the country out of 100. And then you can ask those hard questions of the people who want to become councillors and mayors in your municipality.
So, Adriaan, one of the things that I also just wanted to talk with you about is, you know, of course, the article that you launched on Monday, not last week, time flies so quickly, but the article you launched on Monday, just talking about the 43 municipalities that you had identified through this index that, you know, are not part of those that have already been red flagged. So what I wanted to know is that, are you saying that these municipalities have not been red flagged by any of the state entities whose data you're using to feed into this tool? Or are you saying, based on the collection of evidence from these different institutions, this is what News24 believes in as far as this metric is concerned?
Indeed, we put together our own index. It's not perfect. It is a unique index. I think it is very interesting, and it's been weighed, I think, appropriately in terms of service delivery, in terms of budget spending, in terms of underspending. You know, some municipalities you actually see underspending. And putting together all these different metrics from across government departments, which is maybe an exercise the government should be doing, as showed us this picture that another 43 municipalities are really close to collapse. And we can see that when we go there. Some of them have been featured on this station and on other publications. Many of them in KwaZulu-Natal in the Eastern Cape. In Pendle, for example, in KwaZulu-Natal, completely falling apart, paying massive amount of its budget on salaries. And that is how we found them.
All right, Adriaan Basson is with News24. Adriaan, thank you so much for that interview. And of course, you can go over to their website, download this tool and see how effective it is in terms of giving you information about your local municipality. As you heard from Adriaan, they've tried to bring in as many different sources for that data and give you a picture of what things in different municipalities in this country look like.